It's happening. It's finally happening. These houses are getting their front porches. Kind of exciting. So you got that. Look at that. Did a pretty good job. Thought we could take a look. So we talked about these before. These column bases made by Simpson. And what you do is you set the bottom into the concrete here. And then these things hold it just off enough from the concrete so that the bottom veins of this wood don't have to deal with trying to suck moisture out of there and rotting this piece of wood. And Simpson makes a bunch of different products for basically connecting wood to wood, or even more than that, but the wood to wood ones are the ones I work with a lot. They didn't knock that in. But anyway, this is a joist hanger. We've talked about these before. They hold joist off another piece of wood. So in this case, we're hanging this joist off of this ledger here, which is sitting on this column down to that footing, or foundation footing. And then on this side, the thing gets bolted back into the house. And again, the hanger holding the joist off of the ledger, which is held into the house, onto the foundation, onto the footing. Look at the size of that thing, right? Like, woo. You'll see here it says hot dip galvanized. The galvanization is for exterior use. You can use galvanized materials interior, but they're really made for the corrosion resistance. What happens when you leave metal out in water, metal, water, oxidization, rust. So you want to reduce that as best as possible. And that's why you do a galvanized for exterior. Also, you'll notice, if you can see this, see how this is a slightly more green color than that wood over there. That green tint in there is the chemicals used for the pressure treating of this wood. And you'll pressure treat something because, much like anything else, the famous phrase by Matt Reisinger, if it doesn't breathe, it'll die, for wood. We put the Tyvek on the house here because Tyvek will allow water not to get behind it, and also wick water out and let air through so that in case it does get wet, it can dry. But when you're doing decks and stuff, you want to use a pressure treated. This gives it an extra protection level from moisture and the elements, and also makes it termite resistant as well. Fun fact, one of the things that changed in the codes around 2015, I think it was the load ratings you put onto decks and such. Used to match the interior load that were required. I believe, no, it might have been 40 pounds. I don't remember exactly. But the newer requirements is that it's 50 times higher than whatever the interior height. So inside here is a residential load, 40 pounds per square foot. And so out here, 50% more, we've got ourselves 60 pounds per square foot. That's just part of how we get here.